our weekly giving season session. I'm Jenna, by the way, a nonprofit advocate here at DonorBox, and
I'm Kara. I'm fundraising coach at DonorBox.
And today we'll be talking about how to talk about why you do what you do. And this is important, especially as we approach giving season, because it's the time of year when people get really serious about giving back and supporting the causes that they care about. So if you're like me, when someone asks, why do you do what you do? Or what made you decide to work in this field? Or even what makes your organization unique? It can be pretty difficult to answer, especially when you're being put on the spot, right? Who here can relate? Whenever I'm put on the spot, I go, oh, I don't know. But here's the deal. If someone is going to give money to your organization, they need to know why they should give that money, right? And they need a really good reason. A reason bigger than just caring about kids or wanting to help animals or whatever else it is that drives us to do what we do every day. And if we don't have a good answer ready when someone asks us why, then we might not get the support we need from them. So today we're going to be talking about how we can make sure that doesn't happen by making sure you write a really solid case statement for your organization. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a poll question to kind of take the temperature here. So this is a yes or no. I know what a case statement is. What is true for you? Do you know what one is? Do you not know what one is? Or maybe you need a little clarification. I should have added in a third option there. Like maybe not. So if you're kind of in between there, let us know in the chat. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys, for that. Well, good news is, even if you answered yes, and especially if you answered no, that's what the session is going to be all about today. We're going to have probably 15 minutes talking about this, showing you some really great examples. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Kara to answer that question for you.
What is a case statement? Well, a case statement is sometimes called a case for support. So those two phrases are interchangeable in fundraising terminology. And your case for support or your case statement is simply the message you share with potential donors. It's the reason to support you. And sometimes a case statement can be adapted into a beautifully formatted PDF or a leave behind piece. Colleges and universities will have these beautiful campaign case for support magazines almost that explain the history and the reason why. And that's not really what I'm talking about today. I am just talking about a non-tangible, big picture statement that your staff and your board can rally behind so that everyone is on the same page. What makes a great case statement? It positions the problem that your organization addresses very, very clearly, and it expressively describes to your supporters so that they can completely understand the problem, why you exist. And then it allows your supporters a desire to step in and help you in your mission for making the world a better place. So it explains why you do what you do. And that's really what we mean by this. So a case statement explains more of your big problem. So that first bullet point, what's the problem? Then what's the solution? Why is your organization equipped to tackle that problem? And what is the desired response? So why does donor support make sense here? And many fundraisers can create that comprehensive case statement that is like, history of the organization and what the future looks like and everything in between. And again, for year-end fundraising support, I'm not really talking about that. I'm just defining what is the current problem, maybe the current funding need for your organization. How are you uniquely qualified to tackle this need? Maybe what makes you unique from any other organization out there tackling that problem? And then how can a donor step in to solve this problem right now? So why would it make sense for that donor to give? And I have an example for you. Let's go ahead and look at the next slide. I see this one a lot. We are raising $10,000 at year end to fulfill our vision. Do you think, okay, put in the chat maybe, what do you think? Is this an effective case for support or case statement? Would that motivate you? No, it's a little vague, right? Yeah. Okay, let's look at the next example. School meals are sometimes the only meals students get in a day. When school is not in session, kids go hungry. The Buddy Bag program provides kid-friendly, easy-to-prepare snacks and light meals on weekends and school breaks. Your gift of $25 provides 5 Buddy Bags so kids do not go hungry over the holiday break. So if we analyze that, let's look at the next slide. We have the problem. School meals are sometimes the only meals kids get in a day. When it's not in session, these kids are hungry. That's the problem. The Buddy Bag problem provides kid-friendly solutions. It makes easy to prepare snacks and light meals so these kids have a little something to eat when school's not in session. That is a solution that is unique to this organization. And how can the donor get involved? What is the desired response? Well, $25 provides 5 Buddy Bags so kids don't go hungry over the holiday break. That's the desired response. So that is this organization's case for support, case statement boiled down into this formula: problem, solution, desired response. Simple as that. And if I'm a donor, you've just told me that my gift will help you meet your goal of raising a certain amount of money in a very concrete way that's easy for me to actually visualize in my mind. And your case statement can be used for the basis of all communications and solicitations with your donors. And Jenna, I'll let you take it from here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So like Kara said, you can use your case statement across many different avenues, and some of those may include in an elevator pitch, in a leave behind. So that would be like a 1 or 2 page printed or PDF copy of something that you leave behind for potential donors when you're talking to them, and your grant applications. So that should be included in your grant applications as a justification for that request. Mail and email campaigns for, so that message can mirror the case statement. And you should have all your kind of communications align in that way. We call that the golden thread. So you should weave that in with your mail and email campaigns and your web content. And I'm going to talk about this in just a minute. You need to use this on your website and in your fundraising pages. When you're scripting calls, so whether it's you or the volunteers making calls to donors or potential donors or supporters in general, having that case statement ready to refer to will make sure that everybody is talking about your organization in a way that's aligned. That's so important. And then even with your event script, so whether you're hosting a breakfast, a fundraising event, a board meeting, a networking event, you want to have that ready. Like I said, it's almost like an elevator pitch in a way, but it's really helpful to have this here. So my question for you is your case statement on your website and or your fundraising page? And I'm going to launch the poll here if I can find it. There it is. So I'm sharing that now. If you would please indulge me, is your case statement, if you have one, on your website and fundraising page? And while we're at it, I should have asked this too. Do you have a case statement? Excellent. That's actually not so bad. I'm pleased with those results. A lot of you are saying, yes, you do have this on your fundraising page and website. And Jennings says, I don't have something I call that, but we do have it pretty clearly. So that sounds like you're close. That's great. And thank you all for responding to that. So if you're looking for ways to increase donations, you might be tempted to try new marketing strategies or change up your donation page completely. But there is one simple thing, and I'm sure you know what I'm getting at here, that you can do today to make a big difference. And that is adding your case for support on your nonprofit's website, and especially on your donation or fundraising page. It's really simple. People want to know what they're supporting when they go to donate. So make sure that they have access to the information they need right away, right next to where they're going to donate. And And if you don't have a case for support on your donation page, all your visitors will see is a donation form. And though if you're using DonorBox, it's probably very beautiful and very nice looking, that lack of information could be enough to turn them off from donating altogether. So they want to know why you're asking for money in the first place. So I'm going to keep it real. Not enough organizations are doing this. When I was digging up some of my favorite orgs to showcase during today's session, I was finding that it was hard to find. Really great case statements right there on the donation page. I'm finding them on the websites and in their marketing materials and across other avenues, and that's great, but it should be here as well. So right here on the screen, Space for Giants, this is a DonorBox org, is a great example. So as you can see here, they're saying at Space for Giants, we are working every day to protect Africa's remaining natural ecosystems. By donating to us, you are making a difference and are creating a space for hope for people and wildlife across the continent. Now, this isn't using our exact formula, but this is close and this is very impactful. And I'll show you a couple more examples as well. So Lady Freethinker does this well. What I especially like about this page is that the org is using an impactful image paired with their case for support. But not only that, they've asked their supporters to respond by making a monthly donation, and they're conveying what that impact will have. So you can read it on the screen here. They say, please consider choosing to donate monthly to sustain our life-saving work. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And you can see in their donation form too that they've favorited the monthly option. So I think that this is a really great way to convert people. And then one more example for you, Coral Restoration Foundation also includes their case for support right next to their donation form. And what I like about what they've done is that they're appealing to all levels of giving right off the bat. So no contribution is too small, and every dollar works towards making our vision a reality. So they're not ruling anyone out. They really will take $5. They'll take $1, so that people feel that even the littlest amount will make an impact, and that's just fine. So I really like the way that they spelled that out. And then you can also use your donation form to complement your case for support. So the very best way to do this is to create donation tiers on your donation form. So donation tiers, or maybe donation levels, whatever you want to call it, it offers choices in the form of predetermined donation amounts. So as you see here, $10, $50, $100, rather than leaving a blank space for the donor to choose an amount, although they can do that here as well. But it provides benchmarks, and they're essentially suggesting levels of giving to donors that they can choose from. But next to each amount, there's a description of what that amount will accomplish. So $10 help feed one cub for one day. $50 help feed one tiger for one day. So you know exactly how that donation is making an impact. And it also creates a level of transparency, right? And that's really important. So not only do you have that great case for support on your donation page, but your donation form is also working to inform your potential donors. And if you are a DonorBox user already, which I'm assuming if you're in this session, you are, I highly encourage you to take a few minutes today to add donation tiers to your donation form. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a blog on how to accomplish that. But this is not your practical action of the week, so stay tuned for that. Give me 1 second to add that on.
Your weekly practical action that you can do right now, we encourage you to make your case. So use this formula to create your case statement. And so remember, what is the big problem? And then how are you uniquely poised to solve this problem? And how can donor support help with this? What is the response that you would like them to take? Jenna will share this formula plus the example that we worked through earlier with you in the DonorBox community. And we would love to see what you come up with. So go ahead. Yo, great. She linked the DonorBox community. We can't wait to see you in there. It's a great place to put your thoughts and ask for feedback, and a great place to get to know each other as well. And now, questions. What kind of questions do you have?
Questions. Bring them on, people. This session is for you. The floor is yours. We wanted to leave plenty of time for this, so let's go ahead and dive in.
I see a couple questions already. Michelle asks, let's see, is your case statement the same as your mission and vision statement? No, it is not. Certainly, they can influence each other, and your mission and vision statement can influence your case statement for sure. So you can use some of those same words and things like that to create it, but no, your case statement is simply that. It's the reason why donors should support you. Your mission and vision are just slightly different there. But yeah, they're I would say a trio. It is a partnership of a trio that every organization should have.
Yes, that is the perfect way to put it. All right.
Tina asks, is a case statement fluid? Would it be changed for each program or project to be funded, or is it considered an all-encompassing statement for the entire organization? Both. You can have an overall case for support for your organization, but I do think having a fluid case statement for each project or fundraising campaign that you have, it's a good exercise to revisit each time you're thinking about asking anyone for money, simply because it's really good to have alignment on your staff and just your own clarity. Sometimes it's hard to ask people for money when you don't fully understand what you're asking or how it's going, what it is that you're doing with it. So it's a good exercise to just put into practice regularly.
Absolutely. So Ellen says, we have a hard time tying money to an outcome. That can be tricky. What I encourage you to do is share with us in the community, in the link that I shared and that you're also going to receive in the recording email, what your mission is. Share your website. Let us take a look and share any ideas you may have. What do you think you could possibly tie that to? What services are you providing? It's that simple. Or what programs are you funding? Whatever that may be. And those outcomes will vary too, depending on your campaign, right? You have your ongoing fundraising campaign that's up all the time, but you will have your year-end campaign, possibly your Giving Tuesday campaign, and those may tie into different things. So if you're not sure, reach out to us. Ask the questions in the donor box community, share some more information about what you're doing, and let's see if we can't work on that together. And Kara, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously tying requests to tangible things is very effective, but I've seen other organizations do it well too, where you're just funding outcomes, when the person was hungry and thirsty, and then, through donor support and amazing programs through the organization, these people got off the street, they got fed, and now they're healthy. The need's still there. So you're still funding vision and you're still making things happen. It might just take some creative communications there. But yeah, both can be effective if done well.
Thank you. All right. From Annette, why do you think people are not wanting to give monthly right now? We lost all of our monthly donors during COVID. How can we possibly get them back during this hard time?
Yeah. And without knowing more about your organization, Annette, I don't know specifics, but obviously the farther labs to donor is, the harder it is to earn their support back. So I would start with your most recent donors and engage them, and then kind of work your way back there. Peer-to-peer fundraising is an effective way to kind of get people to acquire some new donors. And then once you acquire those new donors, continue to provide them compelling reasons to support and some compelling reasons to support you monthly. So the value that it brings to them, obviously it's a little more budget friendly. People are very used to subscriptions in our society right now. And so maybe it's harder to make a $300 donation, but $25 a month is doable or something along those lines. And then what does that amount of money, what will that do for your organization? What will that do for your mission that your organization is solving? And then some organizations will take a whole month and just have a big monthly giving campaign. So maybe it's a monthly giving takeover in September, and every piece of communication that you have is driving that. You're encouraging your board to give monthly, and invite others around them to give monthly as well. If you have large one-time donors, maybe that's an approach too. So, I saw you gave $500 last year. Well, would you make that gift again in monthly increments so that we have predictability and sustainability, that kind of thing? So tell the story there. A big drive, a big campaign could be really effective for you. I'm sorry you lost all your monthly donors.
What I would add to that is, yes, the economy is tough right now. People have been kind of struggling for a couple of years, but we have seen giving increasing. So something that I do want to encourage is take a critical look at how you're stewarding your donors. Did you miss any opportunities to reach out when they donated? Are you connecting with them through email, phone calls, social media, or in monthly or weekly newsletters? Are there multiple touch points in that donor journey to keep them involved? Maybe they made those monthly donations and then they were just waiting for another ask. All they needed was that ask to continue, or they needed an acknowledgement. So look at those things as well, because there might be something missing. Maybe they prefer to be texted, or they prefer a message on Facebook. So send out the donor survey too, right? Gather their insights, see, what feedback and opinions they have about your program, about the donation process, about how they're involved, and then you can make a plan from there as well. So just to add that on top of what Kara said. And
and Jennings just said, I think people really want to know what their money is doing more so ever now than before. So communicate.
1000%. All a part of stewarding your donors.
Yeah, and we're always happy to read through communications and things like that if you want to throw them in the community. Be happy to provide any sort of feedback. We have a communication specialist on our team who can provide some insight too. It looks like one more question. How can you break down the amounts tied to a specific case statement that is specific if, for example, the amounts needed are each thousands of dollars? Yeah, that's hard. I think what I would do is almost have a mini campaign for each of those specific things and break that down further is most likely how I would tackle that. So if you have one project that's $5,000, maybe raise money for that first, and then the next project for $5,000 or $10,000, raise money for that too. Unless you have some really engaged major donors or major supporters that you can present a case, a compelling case that they can fund the entire project for you, or use it to kickstart a match or something for another program.
What I would say too is you're not going to ask someone, unless they are these major donors, right, to build a whole house. You're going to ask them to contribute a brick or a few bricks, right? So that's how you break it down. You're not saying your donation of this much will build us an entire house. It's your donation of just a little bit less will provide a few bricks that go to the bigger picture of this house. So I think I know who's asking this, and I believe that you're already planning your mini campaigns, which is great. So look at it that way. You don't want to intimidate people with a big ask. And we do have some information on how to find those major donors if you do want someone to build that house metaphorically for you, as opposed to just giving you a few bricks. So I can post those in the donor box community as well. You can always reach out to us if you want to learn more about that. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah. Elaine said that she kind of had a poor response for a donor survey recently. Any ideas for making the survey more inviting? Yeah, surveys are hard. Short is better, in my opinion. And sometimes those if you use survey software, it says, 30 seconds or 6 minutes. And so just really gauge your time there. I would do a couple things. I would kind of I would critique your questions. So instead of maybe an open-ended question, oh gosh, how did you hear about our organization? You can put a multiple choice. Did you hear from email, mail, web, in person, whatever it is, so that they can quickly select their answers. If you say, how long did you spend volunteering, give them some choices there too. 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, something like that. So it's more multiple choice instead of open-ended. That might get them through it a little quicker. And then I would seed the survey a little bit. So I would maybe warm them up to the survey. So, hey, a pre-communication piece, whether it's an email or a postcard or even a social media post of, hey, this survey is going to give us some valuable information. When you give us 2 minutes of your time, this happens. So send that out, cushion them beforehand, maybe even make a phone call to some people that you're sure you want to get, some interest from. And then explain in the package when you're sending it that it's important because, and then make sure you're thanking them afterwards. Maybe that'll help. Oh, you tried multiple choice warm up. Yeah, I would do the warm up. Anything in fundraising, the more relational you can make it, the more effective it's going to be. And so relationship. So anytime you can nurture that, I think you'll have a better response. I'm sorry that you had kind of a puny response to that.
You're not alone in that, I will say, Elaine. No. It's just one of those things, and communicate it often. Look for different touch points, put it in different areas so people can find it. And what Kara was saying almost sounds like a case for support, but a case for feedback. So look at that formula too. And I also love the idea of
people are busy and have such short attention spans. So maybe check your email subject to make sure it's, hey, provide us feedback. That might not be as engaging as, a minute of your time means millions of dollars for this, I don't know, but whatever it is. But check your subject line too, run it past some friends.
Absolutely.
But guys, we are at the bottom of the hour. So that was a really, really fast 30 minutes.
It was.
We designed these to be short and actionable and hopefully provide some value to you. And it's so nice to get to know each of you a little bit better each week. So we hope to see you again next week.
Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you in the community, and we'll see you next week.